Welcome back to the channel. The topic that we are going to talk about today is circular flow of income and the related concepts. The concepts that we will cover today is the concept of stock, concept of all these are vis-a-vis the economics only. The concept of stock, concept of flow, the households, right? The financial sector, producer sector, the circular flow, real flow, money flow. So all these concepts will be covered under the circular flow of income today, right? So we are starting up with the stock concept. Now literally speaking, what is stock concept? Stock concept means the amount of pens you have right now, that is your stock. So stock of pencils you have right now, stock of erasers, books, copies, registers, these are all stocks, right? So economically speaking, there is no time dimension mentioned in stock variables. We need not give any time dimension, right? The stock is primarily static in nature. Static in nature means it does not change over a period of time, so it remains fixed. Closing stock fixed, last day of the year, 31st March, right? Certain other examples of stock are the distance, the amount of money that you have, the money supply, the water in your water tank. So we say your water tank has 1000 liters, your water tank has 3000 liters. So that is the stock concept. So how do we define a stock? Any economic variable which is calculated at a particular point of time is known as stock. किसी भी एक particular point of time पे जिस वेरिएबल को हम कैलकुलेट करते हैं. सो योर पेरेंट्स आस्क यू व्हाट इज द स्टॉक ऑफ पेन्स यू हैव बिफोर योर एग्जाम्स, राइट? So stock of pens means, are you carrying 2 pens, 3 pens, 4 pens for your exam? So this is stock concept. After covering the stock concept, we have to consider, we'll consider flow, concept of flow. Flow means आना जाना. So इसमें हम एक point of time को consider करते हैं. So there is a time dimension in flow variable, right? So for example, speed, it may increase, it may decrease. हम लोग average speed की बात करते हैं. So flow. Right, spending of money, how much money have you spent in the month of say January, July, say November? So spending of money. Then water, the water in the river. Why? Because it is not static, it keeps on flowing. So water in the river is a flow concept. The exports, the imports at a particular point of time, in a particular period of time rather. So these are all flow concepts. So what do we say about flow? It is dynamic in nature, that is it can be changed. So static was stock concept, वो एक जैसा ही रहता था. Flow means आना जाना, so dynamic in nature. So how do we define flow? Flow can be defined as any economic variable which is calculated during a period of time. We call it a flow, period of time. So if I say the amount of spending by any organization, by the state, by the government from 1st of April to 31st of March, I say the flow of money has happened, right? Why? Because it is for a particular period of time. Clear? So I believe the stock and flow concepts are clear. Going forward, we'll talk about the real flow of money and the monetary flow. Now what is real flow and what is monetary flow? If you remember, in case of circular flow of income, we have already studied in my previous slides that there are primarily two sectors, a household sector and a producer sector. Now what does household sector supplies? Household sector supplies the land, the labor, the capital, the entrepreneurship, right? So services are factors of production, land, labor, capital and enterprise. We call it real flow. What does the producer sector give to the household sector? They give the goods and services. So no money is involved here. Because no money is involved here, so real flow. Clear? From one sector to the other sector. Now in the diagram which is showing in your screen, the household sector supplies the services of land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. What does the producer sector gives? The producer sector gives the goods and services back to the consumer. Now real flow, this was real flow, right? Then it is money flow. Money flow states the supply of factor payments by producer to the household sector. Then what does the household sector supplies? Household sector buys the goods and services which are being produced by the producer, right? So coming back again, now probably it will be clear. Now what does the real flow does? The real flow, in case of real flow, the household sector supplies or provides the land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, which means the factors of production. What does the producer sector gives? In case of money flow, the producer sector pays for these services, right? So we call it factor payments. Now going to the on the other side, what does the producer sector supplies in case of real flow? It supplies the goods and services, right? Now what does the household sector gives in case of money supply? Household sector buys those goods or uses those services, whereby the money once again goes back to the producer. So this is how we call it circular flow. अगर हाउस होल्ड सेक्टर अपने फैक्टर सर्विसेज देता है तो प्रोड्यूसर सेक्टर उसको फैक्टर पेमेंट्स देता है. सर्कल इज कंप्लीट. अगर प्रोड्यूसर सेक्टर गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज मैन्युफैक्चर करता है, हाउस होल्ड सेक्टर उन गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज को कंज्यूम करता है, बाय करता है, कंज्यूम करता है, जिससे वो पैसा फिर से प्रोड्यूसर के पास चला जाता है. वंस अगेन सर्कल इज कंप्लीट. दैट इज व्हाई वी से द मनी नेवर stricts with one person. It keeps on flowing. It keeps on flowing. The more it flows, the more will be your economy size. So we call it circular flow of income vis-a-vis the goods and services and income, monetary supply and real supply. What are the households? Who are the households actually? The households, what do they do? Households primarily consume the products, they save the money, they serve, they work for you, right? So factors, services भी तो provide करते हैं, and they pay the taxes. These are the 4 tasks that are being performed by the households. What does the firms do? Firms produce. GDP कहते हैं ना हम, तो GDP क्या बोलते हैं हम? Production. So firms produce. Firms invest. Buildings बनाते हैं, lands buy करते हैं, फिर वहाँ पे फैक्ट्रियाँ लगाते हैं, मशीनें ओपन करते हैं, right? So they buy the inputs. वो inputs भी buy करते हैं, and they pay the taxes. ये firms करती हैं. After this, the government. What does the government do? The government also buys the goods. Government बहुत सारी स्कीमें चलाती है, ठीक है? रोटी दाल स्कीम, आटा दाल स्कीम और वेलफेयर स्कीम्स. सो बहुत सारी ऐसी स्कीमें, वन नेम और दी अदर, गवर्नमेंट चलाती है. सो दे बाय द गुड्स, दे बोरो द मनी, they collect the taxes, they even issue the money. These are all the tasks being performed by the government of any country. What does the rest of the world do? Rest of the world helps in the process of exports and imports. I believe you all understand what are exports and what are imports. Exports means if I have an abundance of something or I need the foreign exchange, I sell my produce to the other countries. This is known as export. So what do I get in return? I get the money. What are imports? If I have the shortage or shortfall of any product, I ask the other countries to please give those particular products. Like in case of petroleum products, few countries produce petrol or they extract out petrol. So the other countries basically buy that petrol. So process of export and import. Now circular flow of income, we have studied it in money flow and real flow. Circular flow of income. So what does the households do? The households offer the factor services, the firms pay them back in terms of factor payments. The households buy the goods and services. कौन से वाले goods and services? Which are manufactured by the firm. So this completes the circular flow in a two-sector model. There are certain assumptions that are attached to it. So what are those assumptions? Here we assume that there are two sectors in the economy. One of them is the household sector, the other one are firms. Second, households supply the factor services to the firm, right? The firms hire those factor services from the households. जितने भी हमारे households हैं उन्हीं से ही firms जो हैं वो hire करती हैं factor services. क्यों? आप और हम ही तो लेबर हैं, आप और हमारे पास ही तो लैंड है जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हायर करती हैं, राइट? हाउसहोल्ड्स आप और हम ही तो स्पेंड करते हैं अपनी इनकम को, सो हम लोग बाय करते हैं गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज को. सो हाउसहोल्ड स्पेंड देयर एंटायर इनकम ऑन दी कंजम्पशन, कंज्यूम करते हैं वो प्रोडक्ट्स को. द फर्म्स सेल ऑल दैट इज प्रोड्यूस टू द हाउसहोल्ड्स. कभी ऐसा सुना कि कुछ फर्म्स ने अपना सामान बेचा ही नहीं, रख लिया? they may do it for a shorter period of time to earn the profits. They cannot do it for a longer period of time because वो produce इसलिए करते हैं ताकि वो sale कर सकें और उससे profit आए उनको. There is no government or foreign trade involved in a two sector model. We are talking of two sector model, right? So this is five sector model. So we have already discussed what does the financial sector do, what does the government sector do, what does the foreign sector do, what does the households do, and what does the firms do, right? So we've already discussed this model, five sector model. However, in case you find it difficult to understand, please write back to me in the comments. I'll once again explain it to you. I'll make a full-fledged video for this and once again explain it to you, right? Then is the phases of circular flow. Now what are the phases? There are three different phases of the circular flow. The first one is production phase, distribution phase, and disposition phase. What are these three phases? Let's understand one by one. The production phase, production of goods and services by the producer sector, the firms, they manufacture the goods and services. The quantity of goods and services produced makes it a real flow. So real एसेट फ्लो, स्टॉक्स जितना मैन्युफैक्चर करेंगे उतना एसेट फ्लो में आएगा. द मार्केट वैल्यू ऑफ गुड्स प्रोड्यूस, जितने भी हमारे मार्केट वैल्यू है गुड्स की वो इसी से बनती है. सो मैंने जितने गुड्स, सपोज मैंने 1000 मोबाइल फोन्स मैन्युफैक्चर किए, द प्राइस ऑफ वन मोबाइल फोन इज 1000. So 1000 multiplied by number of units sold, which are 1000 in this case. So that will be the value of total value of the goods that are produced, right? GDP भी बोलते हैं हम इसको. डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन फेज, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन क्या होती है? जो भी हमारी फ्लो ऑफ इनकम है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ रेंट, इंटरेस्ट, प्रॉफिट्स एंड वेजेस विच आर पेड बाय द प्रोड्यूसर सेक्टर टू द हाउस होल्ड, इसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन फेज. दिस इज ऑल्सो नोन एज मॉनेटरी फ्लो, राइट? दिस इज मॉनेटरी फ्लो. Then the final one is disposition. Now what is disposition? Disposition का मतलब है एक्सपेंडिचर जो आपने खर्चा किया है. एक्सपेंडिचर्स मेड, जो भी आपने खर्चा किया, जो कंज्यूमर खर्चा करता है उसको हम डिस्पोजिशन बोलते हैं. ऑन द परचेज ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज दैट आर प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय द हाउस होल्ड्स एंड अदर सेक्टर्स ऑफ द इकोनॉमी, राइट? एंड दिस इज अ मनी फ्लो फ्रॉम अदर सेक्टर टू द प्रोड्यूसर सेक्टर. सो these are primarily the three phases of circular flow of income. That's all from me for this topic, guys. If you find it anything which is not being discussed here, do let me know in the comments. I'll get back to you.